I guess you have watched many videos about fermentation already if you're interested into this topic, but I just want to expand your idea about it. What I want to say is that you can actually ferment almost any kind of vegetable, even some fruits you can add to it, and you can be really creative. You don't need to follow standard recipes. And today what I'm gonna do is I just picked some things from the garden. The only thing which is not from the garden are the beetroots, these here, but everything else is. So we have some carrot leaves, we have some Swiss chard, we have some kale. Our kale is not very much and the leaves are quite small, they just didn't get big enough. I think I didn't put them on the right spot. So I just thought I'm gonna enhance what we're gonna get from it, because when we actually ferment something with just water and salt, we do enhance the properties of it. We don't just create probiotics, but we multiply also the nutrients which are inside, like the vitamins and some of the minerals. They become more abundant and more bioavailable for us, so they're easier to digest and to be really grabbed by the body almost instantly. And there's no digestive issues usually after eating fermented foods. So I'm gonna have also some beautiful red onion from the garden. We have some dill here. I'm basically gonna put mostly the flowers this time. I really like how it becomes beautiful in the jar, even though because of the beetroots everything will become red. So I also have some stems from the onions, some carrots also from the garden, which are not that many, and I'm even going to put some apple. So just one moment, I'm just gonna get my apple. So here we go, I have my apple now, and I'm going to add even the apple to the fermentation. It becomes extremely tasty, trust me. You don't want to be shy with that. You can just, experiment with some spices inside and even some herbs and different flavors. It becomes really, really, really tasty. I have been experimenting lately a lot, and I'm gonna show you a picture here. I really got inspired. So I did I did sprout some lentils, and I even fermented that. So I'm gonna put a photo here, picture of it, so you can take a look. It became not just beautiful, the jar, but it was super tasty. I still have a little bit of it, and the water is amazing. I do have at the moment as well, let me show you what we have here. We have some fermented, these are mung bean sprouts. So I just cannot focus them. So we actually made these sprouts ourselves, and then we fermented them. Again, I added some garlic there, some dill, whatever I had in the garden, and it became amazing. It's much easier to eat that way. I have some cucumbers here because our cucumbers were giving really a lot. These are not the small cucumbers, these are just regular cucumbers, but you don't have to limit yourself with whatever you see in the shops and whatever you see in the videos. You can ferment any type of things. You can ferment celery, all kind of dark leafy greens. You can ferment broccoli. You can combine cabbage with other things. It becomes amazing. You can ferment even corn, especially baby corn. It becomes wonderful, really, really, really good. And if you actually ferment your sprouts and microgreens, I don't know if you're aware, but when we sprout something and when we grow it into microgreens, but even in sprouted form, the nutrients there multiply from 40 to about several hundred times. So you can imagine how abundant of nutrients this thing is. And when it's fermented, it's gonna be super easily digested. You can just eat it like this. You can just add some sauce on top, or even just like this, you can add it to your meal. I'm gonna show you our meal from yesterday here. You can see how we are eating. We are just literally like boiling something like quinoa, or just baking some potatoes and just throwing on the side all this beauty here, the fermented foods, and we have our raw portion of food. So that's amazing. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut all this and I'm going to try to fit it in a jar. So I'll be back in a moment when I cut the things, and I'm going to show them what kind of pieces I'm going to make, even though you can do whatever you feel. You can even shred these and make them into ready salad and just, throw them into the jar like this. And then it's even easier to eat afterwards. So these are my fruits and vegetables ready to be put in the jars. I think I'm gonna have too many things for one jar, so I just prepared two. So I did cut roughly my greens, and then I have the apples here in such sizes. Here's Andre coming. And I did leave the seeds. The seeds of the apple, they actually have B17, so they are very, very good for you. So fermented, this multiplies, it becomes amazing. And then the onion is roughly chopped like this. We have some onion stems as well to add on. There's more here. And then I just made such pieces of the beetroot, and this is the carrot, pretty much like this. But like I said, you can do whatever you feel. You can even put whole things. So I'm gonna put a little bit of onion at the bottom, for instance, like so. Some apple, because the apple is gonna give some sweetness, even though the beetroot and the carrots, they already have some sweetness. Just some greens. Okay, my camera stopped for a moment, sorry about that, but I just wanted to show you that from time to time you just need to push them down so that they are tight. You want them to be as tight as possible. And then you just continue until your jar is full. Okay, I'm gonna fill my jars and I'm going to be right back. So look how beautiful my jars are. Isn't that beautiful? I put everything. There's the dill here. Let me put some spices on top as well, we'll see. So now, the most important part is the salt water. So you want to use a proportion of 1 liter of water. For every 1 liter of water, it takes 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt. And I'm going to use Himalayan salt. So I do recommend either Celtic or Celtic salt. I don't know where you live, how it's pronounced. Himalayan salt or sea salt. So I'm gonna use Himalayan salt, that's what I have. I'm using a funnel on my bottle to make it easier. And you wanna make this in a glass container, of course, because plastic really starts to leach a lot when there's acid or salt. So I'm just gonna I usually put around 2.5 teaspoons of this. And then I just need to add more water because I didn't fill it up. Shake it very, very, very well. I'm trying in a bottle because it's the easiest way to do it. You want to close it, shake it very well until all the salt is dissolved. And then you want to fill your jars to the top. So I have 2 more important tips for you that will save you some time. you want to leave a little bit of space, because usually when the fermentation starts, the water level rises. And then what I do is I usually use one of the vegetables, which is like bigger, to cover the top, and I use it as something to press down everything else. Here I might need to add one more onion stem, like this, longer, so it will stop the things popping up all the time, because they tend to do that. But this one is quite good. So now I'm gonna put the caps, and I'm gonna put them on my counter for a few days. It will depend really on your temperature. You want to keep an eye on them, and when they start to have this really nice fermented taste, you don't want to overdo it though. You can put them in the fridge, and then they can last for several months over there, so you can enjoy this amazing food for months. The fermentation will actually continue in the fridge, but very, very slowly because of the low temperature. And like this, you can preserve it for a very long moment. Unless you don't eat it all until then. Well, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't done that yet, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. We have a lot more to share with you. Thank you. See you next time.